Welcome to Underlords Universe. This is a place where my brother and I and our colleagues and friends gather occasionally to discuss things like rock and roll, sci-fi, horror occasionally, but mostly music right now. We do this because we like to continue those conversations about music that we had all those years ago when we were kids, and because it inspires us to continue to do things like play music in our own lives and write and record and do stuff like that. We're part of a project called Underlords of the Overworld. More on that at the very end if you stick around and you're interested. And if you're just interested because you stumbled across this today and you have nothing better to do, cool. That's fine. That's great. If you're an Ozzy fan, um, maybe make a comment in the little spot below and join the conversation. And what we're talking about here today is part three, the latter part of Ozzy's solo catalog. So what we're doing here is, like I said, a series on Ozzy. We broke it into three chunks of four albums because there's 12 total. Four times three is 12. Yes, 12 total. And we do that because we can kind of in our conversations kind of get, into the details about favorite songs on the album, least favorite songs on the album, and then we also rate each album on a scale based on each song getting up to 5 points, and then there's a formula we use to figure out the ranking of the albums, and we do that just to kind of keep it interesting for ourselves as well. Maybe not a perfect system, but it's the way we do it. So we did part one with the first four Ozzy albums, part two with the kind of middle of Ozzy's catalog, and today we're going to be discussing Black Rain, Scream, Ordinary Man, and Patient Number 9. And so we'll do this with Brent starting off. We're just going to kind of go into we'll start with just kind of overall impressions of the album, high points, low points, and we'll move on from there. What do you say?
Sounds good. Let's do
Okay,
it.
sounds good. Okay, so your overall impression of Black Rain when you got it back in what I guess it would have been 2007 when it came out.
Hmm.
Oh, and has your overall impression of it changed over time?
Um, a little bit. My overall impression is that this record is really a product of its time. You can't really compare what Ozzy was doing at this point in his career with what he was doing early on in his career. Sonically, it's a lot different. This is a period of his career that I like to refer to as like corporate Ozzy. That's not a negative thing or anything. It's just my impression is that it's less of a band at this point and more of a corporate undertaking. This is the last record that he did where you have Zakk Wylde on all the guitars on all the songs, and Zakk wrote a lot on this record. So in that respect, it kind of it's a culmination of his working relationship with Zakk in terms of Zakk being like really a part of the band because we're getting into a time period where there were a lot of changes within the band and different producers and whatnot. So it lost a little cohesiveness, going forward from this point. But overall, I think it's a good record. It has a nice big sound. It's a heavy record. Ozzy sounds pretty good. When you get into this point of his career and the later records, I'll speak to this more. I question how produced he was versus how well his voice is just naturally. I think at this stage his voice is still pretty strong and pretty good, and I think the record is quite good. Has a lot of good songs on it. Civilize the Universe is one of my favorite Ozzy songs. I give that song 5 stars. There's really
Okay.
not anything bad on this record. If I had to pick a low point, because we do talk about low points, high points,
Mm-hmm.
Here for You is kind of a meh. I give that 3 stars. Nothing on the record is lower than 3 stars for me. 3 stars for me
Oh,
means
really? Okay.
so here. Look, 3 stars for me means a lot of things. It means It means it's okay. It means it's good. It's just it's about average. Average for me is 3. It's not 2.5. So Here for
Okay.
You is probably my least favorite track. I really, really, really like Civilize the Universe. I like the melody. I like the guitar riff. I think it's a really, really good song. And
Okay.
overall, I do like the record. I think it's a solid Ozzy record
Okay.
at this.
All right. So interesting starting point because Like I remember when the album came out and you got it. And in full disclosure, I haven't, I actually haven't bought an Ozzy album when it came out since No More Tears.
Okay.
I mean, I
Uh-huh.
when Osmosis came out, you got it, and you and I had an apartment together for a while, and it's like, well, I'm just going to listen to your copy, I think. And at that point, a little strapped for cash too, delivering pizza and whatnot. So uh, I just never bothered to buy anything from that point forward, and some of it just didn't kind of appeal to me. I heard some stuff on Black Rain, and I just thought, whatever. And,
Hmm.
and again, in full disclosure, because I haven't lived with these albums in the latter part of the catalog like you have. I only got them this year. When Ozzy passed away, I thought, it's time I give the latter part of his catalog its due. And I dove in, I got the albums, and I try with everything to listen with an open mind. I like a lot of stuff that's not popular. I like a lot of stuff that is popular. I try to take everything kind of for what it is rather than for what it isn't. And so with that said, I think I agree with you. The album sounds big. It sounds bold. Um, I do think it sounds a little sterile, despite how big it sounds in a sense.
I agree. I
Um,
agree.
it just doesn't have as much of that organic feel to it. Um, and from a production standpoint, it's a product of its time. I and you kind of went right into high and low points, so I'm going to go ahead and do that myself. I agree with you. Civilized Universe is the high point on the album. I think that's a good song. I really like that song. As a matter of fact, I would say that Civilized Universe is probably one of the best songs of the entire latter half of his catalog. Um, yeah, along with That I Never Had from Down to Earth. I think those two songs, That I Never Had is probably my favorite Ozzy song of the last five albums. We're just talking about the last four here. So
Mhm.
Civilized Universe is going to be up there for me. Having said that, I don't give it a five. Like I actually gave it a 3.5.
Wow. Okay.
Which means for me, a three for me a three is yeah, good song. I can listen to it. I'm not likely to skip it. 3.5 is it's not quite a four. A four is like a four to me is a song where it's like if I'm really in the mood, that could be a five if I'm really in the mood for it. So this is one of those songs where it's kind of like it's not quite to that level. So I'm going to give it a 3.5. And I also gave some low points. You said the lowest score you gave on this album is what?
Three.
Three. Okay, the lowest I gave two songs a two, and I
Okay. What are those?
and
What
I
are
gave
those?
and I gave two other songs 2.5. Uh,
Okay.
so first of all, I think the Almighty Dollar, um, that's that's lucky to get a two, in my opinion.
Well, I gave that a four. Interesting.
Uh, my note says piano part is cool, but no. Uh, I also gave it two. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't want to stop. Is that it was a single off this record.
Yeah, I believe you are correct.
I gave I don't want to stop a two.
I
I
gave it a three.
I don't like that song. Now, for potential viewers out there, yeah, what's a two? What's a three? You Brent and I, Josh, when he's involved with us, etc., some of our other people, we just kind of have our own internal sense of what a two is or a three is or a four is, and we find our own internal consistency with that. And that's kind of what we do. Um, so that doesn't necessarily mean that Brent, that you love the song and I hate it.
No,
It's kind of
no.
like our own sensibility about it. Um, I do think here's my note on this. Dumb chorus sounds like teen bop metal.
Yeah, it's not a favorite of mine either. That's why I
The,
gave it a three.
the
It's passive.
melody, the melody in I Don't Want to Stop to me does not sound like Ozzy. To me, it sounds like, um, and I don't want to demean any other band out there, but in all honesty, I've never listened to a band like Five Finger Fruit Punch or Five Finger Death Punch, but um, and nothing against them, but it's like that's and they've been around for a long time now. But they were a newer band. I don't remember when they came out, but they were of a newer generation of metal, and I think that a different melodic sensibility and bands like that, maybe a viewer out there could better have a better idea and could can contribute to the conversation here. But some of the newer bands that I'm not familiar with, I think, just approached music with a different melodic sensibility. And to me, this doesn't sound like Ozzy. To me, it sounds like, hey, Ozzy, here's a melody that really worked for this song. Now let's come up with a lyric for it. This will be a melody that'll really catch those kids today. And yeah, I could be totally wrong in that. Maybe it's not that. Maybe Ozzy wrote that one day, in the shower or something. I don't know. But that's how it sounds to me. It's how it feels to me. It doesn't feel like honest Ozzy to me. So I gave that a 2. So yeah, and the other song, I mean, that's kind of stands out. 11 Silver. I really like the solo in the solo section of 11 Silver. That and Civilize the Universe. Those are the two songs. But I say Civilize the Universe, the top song. Almighty Dollar is the low point on the record for me. Other than that, to me, it's just kind of it's a 2.5 to 3. It's like I can put it on. It's fine. If I was on a long drive, I could put it on and listen to it, and yeah, it's okay.
I like the title track. I like Not Going Away. I like Trapdoor. I think those are good songs. So it sounds like I like the record a little bit more than you do, but
Yeah, Trapdoor. I have a note on Trapdoor. No on the verses. Middle section is okay. I don't like the verses on Trapdoor. So
I
yeah,
don't like the I don't like the chorus on I Don't Want to Stop. Uh,
yeah. That
I
that that's something
I
we tend to agree with. Yeah.
yeah.
What do you think of the
Overall,
what do you think of
overall,
the
I think
title track?
I like the title track.
Okay.
I give that a
Um,
4.
I gave it a 3. I don't I'm not a big fan of harmonica. My note just says doesn't need the harmonica. So I kind of wonder if there was something else in there other than harmonica, if it might have elevated it for me. But yeah, what overall what's the percent come out for you for this?
For me, it came out to be 74%.
54.
Well, that's
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those albums again, I can kind of put it on. It's just kind of meh for me. So,
well.
uh
Let's move on to a Scream, and we'll see how that compares
sure.
to.
Now, Scream, correct me if I'm wrong, Scream was also produced by Kevin Churko, correct?
I believe that is correct.
But it was also entirely written just by Kevin Churko and Ozzy. And Gus G, who's a phenomenal guitar player, did all the guitar work on it.
You did.
There we go. And I also understand that the Ozzy Scream logo was actually a sticker that was
Right.
on, like, okay. Because I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
when I got it, I was like, wait a minute, how come mine doesn't have a logo? But I understand now.
There's mine.
Oh, is that a sticker on yours
Yeah, it's a sticker.
that's on the jewel case?
Oh,
Okay.
yep, it's on the outside of it. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Oh, wait a minute. I stand corrected. My notes here indicate that Adam Wakeman also co-wrote a few songs. Adam Wakeman co-wrote Let It Die, Digging Me Down, and I Want More. Oh, and also I Love You All, which is that little short
Little
tag,
dip.
little coda at the end of the album. So, which I think it's actually cool that Adam Wakeman's getting some writing credit on an album. That's cool. I'm a big
Oh,
fan of
and,
Wakeman.
and, and we know that Richard
Yeah.
Dick Wade worked with Sabbath back in the day, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, on Sabbath Bloody
Yeah.
Sabbath, right? So yeah, so that's cool. There's that connection. Um, my thoughts on the production is that it's very similar in terms of the sonics
Hmm.
to Black Rain. So it's kind of a companion album in that sense. No surprise, since it's produced by the same guy.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't really want to add any more comments in terms of the production on that. I'm ready to go straight into the songs themselves. My sense on the production is pretty much the exact same as it on the previous record. So
You talk just let's briefly. Let's just talk about Gus G because you mentioned
Yeah.
that he does guitar work on this record, and you correctly pointed out how he's a really good guitar
Yeah.
player. What do you think he brought to this record in terms of his performance? And he doesn't write on the record, but Zach is a very identifiable player with his pinch harmonics and his soloing techniques and whatnot. And he'd obviously been with Ozzy for many years
Okay.
off and
So
Well,
he's
how do you look at Gus's approach to the work in Scream overall and what he brought to the record?
okay. This is touchy in a sense because I don't want to say anything that's going to sound negative towards Gus G because he's awesome.
Yeah,
Um, the thing about and Zach is awesome too.
yeah.
Zach, I think, is more identifiable. I think Zach's fingerprint is more immediate.
Easily discernible.
Yeah, yeah. That said, sometimes I get a little just kind of worn out of Zach.
Ear fatigue.
Yeah, a little bit. And so in that sense, Gus is it's like a refreshing change,
Hmm.
but it's at the expense of something that's more identifiable. And that's why yeah, I don't want to say something that's going to sound, negative towards Gus. I mean, his playing is he's on fire on the record. He sounds great. Um, a lot of guitarists sound great, and so I, I just kind of wish that Gus had been part of the writing process because then it would have been like, okay, where's that creative element? I mean, like if he had written on, this song or that song or whatever, you could kind of go, oh, okay, maybe that's a Gus G riff or something. That's the thing that's maybe missing for me a little bit on that. I don't know. How about you to answer your own question?
No, I agree. I wish he would have had, to the extent that we know, it doesn't look like he had much of a hand in writing the songs or arranging them. It would have been nice if he had a part of that because that would have showed us a lot about his creativity. Because there are a lot of really good guitar players who don't write songs,
Hmm.
and that's fine.
And he's obviously, the guitar player in Firewind. So,
And I'm not saying Gus G doesn't write songs. We're just saying on this particular record he
right.
really
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And
Or how he would have collaborated with Ozzy and a
yeah,
producer and stuff. So, yeah.
in my view, there are really good songs on this record, but I too wish he had been more a part of the creative process, or if he'd had another record or two to have that opportunity, because he really didn't. This was his one. It's a one and done with Gus for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So, but he does a fine job on the record, and as you indicated, the production's really good. The guitars sound really good. I do think this has a bit of a warmer production
Hmm.
than Black Rain. I mean, I know it's the same producer. I do think it sounds a little bit better
Okay.
on the margins. But yeah, if you want to go into highs and lows, I'm
Yeah.
interested. Why don't you go first this time, and then I'll,
Sure.
I'll follow.
I'll start with lows. I think the opening track, "Let It Die," and I know that Adam Wakeman co-wrote it. That's a low point for me. I give that a two. It has again what I'm going to refer to as a new generation melody. It doesn't sound like a melody that would speak to our generation. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just it's kind of like it's kind of hard to put this into words, but it's like you kind of hear the way words and phrases are strung together in a vocal line. Um, like for example, and not just in hard rock and metal, but like in a lot of pop music today, modern pop music. One of the things that you hear is like maybe an effort to like shove as many words into a phrase as possible and stuff,
Mhm.
and things like that. And I'm not saying that that's the case here with Ozzy, um, but it's like the melodic sensibility of like the 60s is different than that of the 70s and of the 80s. And you can just kind of hear something and kind of go, yeah, that sounds like a certain generation or a certain era or whatever. And so my note just says New Generation Melody on Let It Die. So to me, that's a low point. Another low point is Fearless, which also was co-written by um, Adam Wakeman. My note just simply says kind of stupid.
Yeah, that's my low point as well. Fearless.
Okay.
I give it a three. That's my low point.
So, and I give it a two. Um, so for me, it's like, yeah, I mean, if I put that album on, if I was listening to it in the car, I just hit skip. That's, you know, unless I was committed to it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen to this album start to finish, which I do sometimes. Other times I'm like, no, I'll skip certain songs, and that would be one I would skip sometimes. So,
Mm.
what did you think about the opening track, the one that I referred to as a new generation melody?
I like it. I gave it a four actually.
Oh, okay.
So we disagree on that
Yeah.
too. I think the middle of the record is particularly strong, with the exception of Fearless. But yeah,
Um,
that
and to that point, it could be that I haven't lived with these albums as long either. And that's, because there is something to be said about familiarity. The more familiar you are with music, the more you are inclined to like it.
yeah, well, I mean, this record's 15 years old now,
Yeah.
so
And it took me 15 years to get it.
it's been out there for a long time.
Yep.
And having said Time, I'm going to say Time is a five-star song on this record. I love Time. Now, it's not as good as Pink Floyd's Time, which is epic masterpiece. I love Time on this record. I think the vocal melody is beautiful. I think the background melody on Time is great. The arrangement's great. If I was going to do a compilation for Ozzy, I would put Time on that compilation. It's that good.
Um, I would not. Although I gave Time a three. I think the music's cool, to a large degree. My note says, "Oohs do not sound like Ozzy."
I don't think it's supposed to sound like Ozzy. I think it's. I
I
think
don't.
it.
I don't. No, no, no. I don't mean. I'm not saying
Oh,
it doesn't sound like him personally. I'm saying it doesn't sound like Ozzy Osbourne, like an Ozzy song.
oh,
It doesn't. To me, it doesn't have that Ozzy-ish.
I never
You
thought of that.
Um. So, but I gave it a three. Would you give it time?
I give it a five. It's my favorite song on the record.
Okay, my favorite song on the record would be I Want It More."
I give that a four. That's right in the middle out. I think Life Won't Wait, Digging Me Down, Crucify. I Want It More. I give all those songs four stars. I think the middle of the record is
Hmm.
really good.
I I I I gave I Want It More a four. I don't know really if I would stick with that if I rated it again. I did give it a four when I rated it, maybe a three and a half. Um, but that's the highest rated song on the album for me. Um, so and Black Rain came in at 54% for me. This one came in at 56.4%. So I mean,
Uh,
really, really
this
close.
this was 75.45% for me, so this is
And
higher.
so this was, yeah, okay. And so Black Rain and Scream are pretty close, pretty similar to you. They're pretty similar to me. You just rated them quite a lot higher than I did. So
I rated them 20 points higher than you.
yeah.
Yeah, but they're
Okay.
diverse.
So let's move along to the Andrew Watt albums, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So we got Ordinary Man next,
Hmm.
produced by Andrew Watt. And the Andrew Watt produced albums are kind of, I would say, like all-star albums with a lot of different players. I mean, even says on certain songs, featuring so and so. And um
Bit of
I
a bit of a hodgepodge.
yeah, I'm not as much of a fan of albums that are done like that. Um
Neither am I.
it loses whatever band sensibility or cohesiveness there was on the previous albums, and we've already discussed the idea that those sound almost more like producer albums rather than band albums. So to me, these even sound more like producer albums rather than, a true Ozzy album. They certainly are not like an Ozzy band record. Does that mean they're bad records in and of themselves? No, I mean that's not the thing that drags them down for me. But um, I remember when Ordinary Man came out, and in the first thing that caught my attention, and I still agree with this, it's in my notes. I think from a guitar standpoint, it actually sounds a little more organic to me than Scream or Black Rain.
Hmm.
I think the guitar tones sound a little bit more, um, I don't know, just a little more natural, a little more 70s in a certain sense. But I've actually seen some people that totally disagree with that. So, and I don't know. Um, so the sound of the albums don't I actually don't mind, but I do have some problems with the songs though. So, but we'll get into that. What's your sense on how the Andrew Watt albums sound compared to the Kevin Shirko albums?
I don't like the sound as much. I think it sounds a little drier, a little less organic, more produced. At this stage, I just wonder how produced Ozzy's voice is, because we know as we get into 2021 and the very last part of his life, I don't know that his voice was particularly strong, and I just wonder how produced or maybe overproduced some of the stuff is, how
Okay,
authentic.
so
And
yeah, so I was referring simply just to the guitars, and so I don't disagree with you when it comes to the other elements of the production. So I want to clarify that. Um, when you say produced in terms of his voice, though, are you referring to things like pitch correction and
yeah,
okay, okay,
we just don't know what went into make, because he sounds good on these records, but he also sounds, this is gonna sound where he sounds different, and I just don't know how that was accomplished. Not that that's not a good or a bad thing. That's just an observation.
okay. So with that, let's go ahead and get into the songs then, because um, I'm gonna make a comment about the first two songs. The first song, "Straight to Hell."
Mm-hmm.
When I first heard that, and there's that line where he says, "I'll make you defecate," I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" Like, you got to like, this is a joke, right? I mean, that was my response, and I was like, "I'm not buying this." And I hadn't bought an Ozzy album for forever. And it was like I was kind of hoping, okay, I mean, Andrew Watt was in California Breed briefly with, Jason Bonham and Glenn Hughes, and it's like I didn't really know that he was the Post Malone guy, you know.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Um, so I didn't really. My only frame of reference was California Breed with Bonham and Hughes. So it was kind of like, oh, this could be kind of cool. And then I heard that, and I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Not, no, nope. Having said that, the actual song, musically and everything, isn't that bad. I think it's fine. It's just like, yeah. And then the very next song, All My Life, here's my note on it. Sounds like Ozzy's got dentures.
Yeah,
When I listen to All My Life, it's like I can't help it. It's like it just sounds like he's got like dentures that are about to like pop out of his mouth like an old man. And I mean, I'm not criticizing him. He's an old guy, at the time,
yeah.
rest his soul, he's passed away now. But yeah.
Well, that goes to the production aspect of it, and how these sounds and qualities were obtained, and and it's a big part of any record. I mean,
So so what would you say is the highest rated song on Ordinary Man for you?
I have four songs that I gave 4 stars to.
Wow. Which ones?
Action, well, Straight to Hell, All My Life, the title track, and Today is the End.
Okay,
And
I gave
I,
hang on.
I,
Hang on. You said Straight to Hell, All My Life, Ordinary Man, and which one?
Today is the End.
Okay. All right. I gave a few of those threes, and those are the highest rated songs I gave this.
Yeah, the rest of the record for me is in the 3 and 3.5 range.
No,
Um,
no,
I
no.
like All My Life. Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. All My Life is my favorite song on the record, and I know the parts you're talking about with his voice. There are parts of the song where Suzuki's got a bubble in his throat,
Hmm.
um, and I don't particularly, but I do like the melody. I do like the music.
Hmm.
I do like the production. Um, so if I had to pick a song that would be a favorite, that would be my favorite song
Well,
on the album.
okay. I'm gonna guess your low point. This is not.
Okay,
This is gonna be an easy guess.
okay.
It's a raid featuring Post Malone.
Actually, that's not my low point.
What are you? Did you start ingesting strange chemicals or something? How could that not be the lowest point on this album for you?
It's just not. I just think there's some songs that are not that
Okay,
are.
so what did you give It's a Raid? Because I gave that a one generously.
I gave it 3.5.
I gave it a one generously. Like
Mm-hmm.
that should be a point five or a zero. Okay. So you've rated some songs lower than that. What did okay.
Yeah, Under the Graveyard, I gave that a 3. Scary Little Green Men, I give a 3. Holy for Tonight, I give that a 3. Take What You Want, I give that a 3.
Okay,
So those,
interesting. I gave those a three, except I gave Holy for Tonight, I gave a two and a half. So it's like it's kind of funny because we actually agree on some of those songs,
yeah,
but clearly not on It's a Raid. And that is I'm really surprised about that. I mean, sometimes I'm not surprised where we differ, but I'm really surprised at that one.
yeah, I didn't, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of bringing guest stars onto records. I think we're both in that. We both have that attitude. Um, Musically, It's a Raid is okay. Clearly, I don't think it's a one. I mean, I have no problem giving songs zeros and ones. We know
Well,
that,
I
but
know you actually are more likely to do it than I am. But you're more likely to give zeros and ones and fives, and I kind of tend to be a little bit more kind of in the floating around
yeah.
there in the middle. But yeah, I just yeah that yeah okay. So patient number nine. You want to move on to patient number nine?
Well, do you want to tell me how you rate it? You wanted to go to for the you talked about what your score was for the last two. Do you want to do that with Ordinary Man, or do you want
53,
to? Okay,
53%.
okay, I gave it 69.
Okay.
So these three records are tracking pretty much the same for you
Hmm.
so far.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the last record of his career. Unfortunately, this would
Yep.
be the last. This would be his swan song.
Yep. Patient number nine. There we go, right there. So, uh, and obviously it's got Jeff Beck, Tony Iommi, Eric Clapton, etc. It's kind of like, wow, this should be cool. Sonically, I think it's very much aligned with Ordinary Man. So these are kind of companion records, kind of like the Churko albums are companion albums, I think. Excuse me. So it just again, it just comes down to the songs themselves. Uh, let's see, highest song, highest number I gave on this album is a three, and that's No Escape from Now, which has Tony Iommi on it, and Mr. Darkness. I gave,
Interesting.
I gave both those a three. My note for Mr. Darkness says somewhat interesting, stupid ending.
I also gave Mr. Darkness a 3.
Okay. Those are the highest rate. Oh no, I'm sorry. I also gave Degradation Rules a three as well. But here's my note. Harmonica, again, kind of ruins the main riff. Song is boring, though the chorus riff is okay. So, but I gave it a three just because I thought maybe some of the pros kind of outweighed some of the cons. Um, so it just kind of like if here's two and a half, it's like, okay, inch towards three a little bit. I was just being,
Maybe Tony's playing on it tipped it a little bit for you.
yeah, yeah. Um, So those are the high points. Nothing on this album gets higher than a three, just like the last album, nothing got higher than a three. And a lot of this album is two and a half, two and a half, two and a half, two and a half. Just like, okay, it's there. It's almost like just sensory memory. It's like I can hear it and it's like gone within a second. Um, with one exception, and it's not a good exception.
Oh, what's that?
This is a low point. So do you want to hear a low point or do you want to do your high points first?
Oh, yeah, no, you tell me
Okay.
what you're looking.
So
So let's see.
my low point on this album is One of Those Days featuring Eric Clapton.
I give that a three.
I almost gave that a zero. I hate that song. I gave that a one.
What's your
Uh,
note? Note
eh,
about it?
say what?
Make a note or a comment about
Oh,
it?
I don't have to because the damn thing sticks in my mind for reasons I don't like. And it's funny. Um, the vocal melody in the chorus goes like this. That's the
Okay.
vocal melody, right? So I played that for Susan. Actually, I did that stupid vocal thing for Susan. I said, what kind of music does that sound like to you?" And she goes, "Country." It's exactly. That's a country melody. And it's a bad one at that. It sounds like modern country schlock to me. And I played her the actual song and she's like, "Oh my God, that's Ozzy." And I was like, "No, it's Andrew Watt."
No, that's a good point.
That's what it sounds like to me. And then to me to put Eric Clapton on a song that has a modern country kind of uh chorus melody, I'm like, barf.
Well, I would say there's really nothing Eric Clapton identifiable about.
I mean, some of the soloing and I think in the beginning of it, but from a
It,
song standpoint, no. It's like this.
you could argue it's a misuse of his talent.
I think so. But I, and for any viewer who had to just witness me doing that vocal melody, I apologize.
We
It
do, we do,
was,
we do it. Something we
um,
do.
yeah. Hopefully it was entertaining, if not annoying. But so, yeah, that is one of the that I can I know no. That song, One of These Days, is a big no. As a matter of fact, I think I'd probably rather listen to It's a Raid with Post Malone. Ah,
Uh,
so what did you
I,
give?
well, I gave it a three. I prefer It's a Raid over One of These Days. Actually, I gave it a three.
Man, you're
Uh,
generous.
I have a few songs in this record that I give four stars to. A few.
Really? Which ones?
Immortal.
Oh,
I,
eh,
I like I
meh,
like I like Nothing Feels Right a lot. I give that a four.
meh. Two and a half,
And
two.
I do like Degradation Rules. I like the
Yeah,
riff, the harmony.
yeah.
I can do without. I do like Tony a lot on that song. It's you can tell it's him. And he's one of my favorite guitar players.
Hmm.
So I probably just even subconsciously gave it a little bit extra for that. Um, so those are my favorite. Those are my favorite tracks on the record.
So
Um,
of those three, we actually do agree that Degradation Rules is the high point on the record, or a high point on the record.
I like Immortal quite a bit. I'll stand by that. I think that's a good song. Parasite's not bad. Um, the middle of the record is a little bit lacking. You made a good point where you said that's not Ozzy, that's Andrew Watt. I kind of agree with when you listen to these records, you can't help but think some of that. It's like these songs and a lot of the production values bear no resemblance to previous Ozzy records. They can't. They're like I said. This, in my view, this is corporate Ozzy. It's not a band. I'm not making a judgment. It's an observation. It's not a band. That's a fair statement. it's not a
Yeah,
band.
yeah.
It's a producer who has a heavy hand in song crafting. I believe Andrew Watt also played on the record. He's a
Hmm.
guitar player. So, and that if that's what Ozzy wanted, that's what he got.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and And some people, for some people, these records might be some of their favorites that he's done. I can't say that. I don't dislike these records, but if I'm going to go pick one of these 12 records to listen to, rarely will it be one of these two. I just
Yeah.
happen to rate it a little bit higher than you did.
And could I'd like to make a comment about um it's everybody has things that they like and don't like. And part of the fun of doing this for us is just seeing where we agree, where we disagree. And it's not a matter of right or wrong. Somebody might listen to a song that I dislike and say, "Oh my God, that Brian guy's crazy. That song is so great." And that's awesome. I mean, if everybody liked the same thing,
Yeah.
if everybody was jazzed about the same thing, life would be really, really boring.
Yeah,
And
well, if you guys, if people that are watching this love these records, put it in the chat. Or let
yeah,
us know in the comments. Let us know what you.
yeah.
I
I
would
mean,
this too. That
it's
Brian, I agree. Ordinary Man has the worst back cover
well,
of
yeah. But
that is really stupid.
so Um, life would just be really, really boring if everybody liked the same stuff. I'm kind of always interested to know, like, well, what is it about something that kind of trips your trigger, that really speaks to you, or what's the thing that kind of is like nails on a chalkboard to you? Because everybody's different, and it's not a matter of right or wrong. It's just a matter of we hear things differently. Music is an emotional thing. It kind of like, triggers the amygdala in your brain. Um, and it's not a matter of right or wrong. I mean, we're kind of brazen enough to put our own stuff out there for anybody else to listen to, and somebody could listen to something that we wrote and go, "Oh my God, these guys have the gall to criticize a single note on an Ozzy record. These guys suck." It's like that, right? That's possible. Um, and with that said, I want to say this. Even though the latter Ozzy albums haven't really done it for me, and there's some areas where I really don't like. I'm glad that they're there. I'm glad that he was willing to to go with different producers and make different albums and try different things
Yeah.
because I mean that's what life should be about. And his life came to you know a really quick end after that final reunion with Sabbath and that show earlier this year, and everybody I think was really taken at how fast that happened. And so even though we're here kind of, and especially me, kind of knocking some of these things, it's it's because I like Ozzy. I admitted I haven't, I didn't purchase these albums for, a long time, but I am an Ozzy fan. I do like Ozzy. And if I didn't, we wouldn't be talking about him. And so it's with some respect that I'm knocking some of these songs in a weird sort of way, if that makes any kind of sense.
Well,
I don't know
the
if that
bar
does
is,
make sense, but
but it does, but because the bar is set really high. I mean, when you're talking about Diary of a Madman and Bark at the Moon and the first record, I mean, these are, and in your case, you went back and revisited um, Ultimate Sin and
Mhm.
realized how much you like. So the bar was set pretty high.
Mhm.
So to say that these latter day records didn't really measure up to that's not an inherent knock on things. You made a really good point by saying, look, a guy at this stage of his career could have got stuck in his ways and just done everything the way he wanted to do it. And to the degree that he put these records out, he did, but he did try different things. He brought in different
Yeah,
producers. He brought in different guitar players. He did different things. He brought in guest musicians, and I like you. I'm glad he did that. I'm always glad that a band or an artist that I like puts out a record, whether I love the record or not. I'd rather have it. So I'm glad
yeah.
these records.
And I always try to find, I mean, obviously there are albums that I love start to finish, but even on albums where I'm not that thrilled with them and I don't like them necessarily, I try to find the things in them that I do like. Like I
Yeah,
said before, I actually do like the guitar tones for whatever reason on these Angel Watt produced albums. This is giving me an insight into, a younger producer's mentality and where he's coming from. I can appreciate some of those things even if I don't necessarily enjoy them. And I think that's all part of this is that music is about discovering and exploring and experiencing. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be, oh God, I love that song. It can be a matter of, I'm not sure about that song or worse, right? So yeah. Um, okay, now what's interesting though is that I ended up rating all four of these albums. They all, in my calculations, they all kind of came out relatively close to each other. So I wasn't sure how to rank them, which is why our ranking system actually kind of helped. Um, Yours, it sounds like they all tended to rate higher, but they were all still kind of within a ballpark of each other, pretty close to each other. So I'm curious to see how these last four Ozzy albums actually ranked out for you, and I'll disclose my ranking as well.
So you want to do the countdown?
I am
And
ready
we're
to do the countdown. Yes, if I just want to organize these in the right order. This is how they came out for me, starting with in the number four slot, ready to go,
yeah,
was patient number nine.
I was at ordinary in there. Now,
Ah,
for me, this was 69.09%.
okay. I don't have my percentages handy. I'm just going to go through the order. So number four was ordinary, or excuse me, patient number nine for me. Number three is ordinary man.
And this was only 14 one hundredths of a percent higher
So
than
they're effectively a tie, right? In the number two spot in Ozzy's latter albums. Oh, okay. Black Rain. We agreed on that one. And then
yeah,
Scream for the top
yep,
spot for those four Ozzy albums. Okay. Folks, if we've upset some Ozzy fans, cool. No, not cool. I'm not out here to do that. But if you've got some thoughts, you don't agree, you think that we're way off the mark on some things, that's where the conversation gets interesting. So, post a comment, post a thought. Um, like, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. Like I said, we do a project ourselves. It's called Underlords of the Overworld. It's kind of a conceptual thing, and our bass player writes stories, and some of our songs are inspired by the stories he writes and stuff. So we'll put some links down below if anybody wants to check them out. We did do a song once with that had Derek Sherinian on it, which was pretty cool, too, actually. And then we did a song that had Blaze Bayley, formerly of Iron Maiden, did a vocal on a song for us. So that was really cool. And God love you if you listen to it and if you're like, man, how can these guys are terrible. God bless you for even trying it, checking it out. So we'll put links below, post comments, like, subscribe, etc. And I think Brent, the next thing that we have to do is an aggregate episode on the Ozzy albums, and then we'll take
do
it from
this.
there. So, okay. So thanks for tuning in, and I don't know, that's it, right?
That's it.
Okay.
Goodbye. That's it. That's it. Until next time. That's it.
Until next time. Where's my stop? Oh, I just found the stop button up here. Okay, we're going to stop this. Okay, bye.